The moment Aurora Hayes called my name, I knew something was wrong. Her heels clicked sharply across the floor as she stepped into the center of the office. "Ethan Cole," she said, her voice cold enough to freeze the air. "My office. Now." Everyone looked up. I felt my stomach twist, but I followed her anyway. When I stepped inside, she didn't offer me a seat. She didn't even look at me at first, just tossed a thick folder onto the desk. "Do you know why you're here?" she asked. "No," I said. "But I'm guessing you're about to tell me." She lifted her eyes, icy, sharp, and distant. "You've become a liability." "A liability?" I frowned. "Aurora, I've hit every target for the last 6 months. You said last week that my presentation." "That was last week," she cut in. "This is today." I tried to speak, but she held up a hand. "You're done here." "What?" I stepped back like she'd slapped me. "You're firing me?" Her expression didn't shift. "Effective immediately." I felt the floor tilt under me. "This doesn't make sense. Tell me what I did wrong. At least give me a reason." "You want a reason?" She opened the folder and slid a termination letter across the table. "There." I didn't even pick it up. "This isn't real. Aurora, what the hell is going on? You know my work. You know what I've done for this company. I don't need to justify myself to you." Anger burned through my chest. "At least look at me and say it like a human being." She finally met my eyes. "You're fired, Ethan." The door swung open behind me and Marcus walked in with a smirk stretching across his face. "Is it done?" he asked her, ignoring me completely. "Yes," Aurora replied. Marcus patted her shoulder like he owned the place. "Good. We don't need dead weight." I clenched my fist. "You planned this?" Marcus snorted. "Don't flatter yourself. You were just in the way." "In the way of what?" Aurora didn't answer. Her jaw stayed tight, but she didn't deny it either. Lily rushed in next, panic covering her face. "Aurora, wait, this is a mistake. Ethan didn't do anything wrong. He's one of the best employees we have." Aurora's eyes snapped toward her. "Lily, stay out of this." "But..." "Out." Lily's voice cracked. "Why are you doing this to him?" Aurora looked at me like I was a stranger. "Because I said so." My chest tightened painfully. "Is that really it? After everything?" She didn't blink. "Security will escort you out." I stared at her, searching for the Aurora I used to know, the one who praised my work, who trusted me with projects no one else got. But all I saw was a wall of ice. Marcus folded his arms. "You heard the boss. Move." Lily stepped between us. "Ethan, I'm so sorry." "It's fine," I said, though my voice wasn't steady. "It's not your fault." She wanted to say more, but Aurora pointed at the door. "Both of you. Now." I walked out first because staying any longer felt like drowning. When the office saw me, everyone froze. Conversation stopped. Papers halted midair. I could feel every stare burning through me. Damn, he actually got fired. Did he mess up something big? No way, Aurora never fires people like this. I kept moving, my breath shaky, trying not to collapse under the weight of their whispers. Kyle approached me, eyes wide. "Ethan, what happened? Why would she?" "I don't know," I muttered. "I wish I did." He opened his mouth, but Aurora stepped out behind me, folding her arms. "He's no longer with the company. Everyone get back to work." Her voice echoed through the room like a final blow. I didn't look back. Security walked behind me, not touching me, just watching like I was some criminal they expected to snap. Lily tried to come after me, but Marcus blocked her path. "This is unbelievable," she whispered. "Ethan, call me later, okay?" I nodded, but I wasn't sure if I could face anyone. When I stepped outside, the cold air slapped me. The city noises blurred into a distant hum. People walked by without a care, while my world shattered silently. I stopped on the sidewalk, gripping the termination letter that I hadn't even opened. My hands were trembling. "Why, Aurora?" I whispered. "Why did she do it? Why did she turn on me overnight? Was it Marcus? Was it jealousy? Was it politics? Or was I just that worthless to her? I didn't know. I stared at the tall glass building behind me, the place I gave everything to. The place that spat me out like trash. Something inside me cracked. "This is it," I told myself. "The moment everything changes." I didn't know how. I didn't know what I would become. But I knew one thing. This was the day Aurora Hayes destroyed me. And it would be the day she created something far more dangerous. I stared at the empty apartment, the echo of my footsteps bouncing off the bare walls. The boxes were stacked neatly, but my mind was chaos. Bills stared at me from the kitchen counter, each one a silent accusation. Rejection letters cluttered the table like knives. I ran my hands through my hair and muttered, "Why does everything hate me today?" Noah's voice came through the phone, warm and teasing. "Hey, you're not dying, are you?" "I don't know," I admitted, dropping onto the couch. "Feels like it." "You're overreacting as usual." His laugh was soft, almost comforting. "Come on, Aaron, one door closes, another opens. You'll see." "I've been shut out everywhere," I said, voice low. "Aurora," she looked at me like I was nothing. Like I didn't exist. "And Marcus?" The bile rose at the thought of him smirking across the office. "I can't get their faces out of my head." Noah sighed, but I could hear the concern in it. "I get it, man. I really do. But you're better than their judgments. You've got fire in you, don't let them kill it." I shook my head. "You don't understand. I gave everything to that job, to her, and it didn't matter." My voice cracked. "Why would someone who once praised me hate me so much?" "People are assholes," Noah said bluntly. "Some just need to see others suffer to feel important. Don't let them win." I laughed bitterly. "Win? They've already won. I'm bankrupt in every sense." "You're not bankrupt, Aaron. Not if you're still breathing. Not if you still have me," he said, voice unwavering. "Let's get a drink later. Vent. Or scream. Or break something. Just don't shut down." I let a small smile slip, the first in hours. "You're persistent, I'll give you that." "Someone has to be," Noah said, chuckling. "Now stop staring at those bills like they're monsters. You'll figure it out." The call ended, but the quiet that followed felt heavier. I sank deeper into the couch, staring at the wall, replaying Aurora's expression. Cold, distant, merciless. I couldn't stop thinking. What did I do to deserve that? Why had she turned her entire fury on me? I tried to reason with myself, but every explanation felt hollow. Then my phone rang again. The screen flashed a name I hadn't wanted to see in years. My father. I froze. My thumb hovered over the answer button. Finally, with a trembling hand, I picked up. "Hello." My voice was cautious. "Aaron." "I'm sorry," said the lawyer's voice, clipped but formal. "Your father passed away. We are conducting the reading of his will. You're expected." I didn't hear the rest. My stomach dropped, my chest tightened. He was gone. The man I had resented, avoided, feared, gone. And I was supposed to feel something. Relief? Sadness? Nothing. I felt hollow. At the reading, faces blurred together. Cousins I barely knew, distant relatives, the lawyer with her professional mask. Then the words hit me. "Aaron Hayes, you are the sole inheritor of all assets, estate properties and shares in multiple corporations previously held by your father." I blinked. The world tilted. Power. Money. A future I never imagined. But it didn't feel like joy. Fear coursed through me. Confusion, anger, disbelief. I had been powerless for so long. Now I was handed the keys to kingdoms I hadn't even dreamed of owning. I sank back into the chair, trembling. This can't be real. The lawyer's eyes didn't soften. "It is, Mr. Hayes. Legally and irrevocably. Power." I had tasted something new. Something sharp, something alive. I felt it pulsing in my veins, and for the first time in months I didn't feel entirely like a victim. Noah's words returned to me. "You've got fire in you, don't let them kill it." I clenched my fist. Aurora, Marcus, everyone who had looked down on me, they had no idea the storm that was coming. The mansion was silent, too silent. I walked through the grand hall, my shoes echoing against marble floors. Every corner smelled like memories I never wanted to revisit. Dust, old leather, faint cologne from my father. I paused at his study, ran my fingers over the desk, and found a stack of letters addressed to me. I opened the first one. His handwriting was messy, nervous. "Aaron, I'm sorry for being absent. I thought I was protecting you. I failed." My throat tightened. I muttered, "Failed? You abandoned me." Another letter fell out. He wrote about mistakes, missed opportunities, and his regrets. "I wanted more for you than I had for myself," it read. I sank into a chair, gripping the letters. "More for me? You left me to rot, and now you tell me that." A soft voice broke my thoughts. "Mr. Hayes?" I looked up. Vivian Reed, my father's lawyer and advisor, stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Her eyes were sharp, calculating, but not unkind. "I see you found the letters." "Yes," I said, voice rough. "Why didn't he tell me any of this while he was alive?" She tilted her head. "Some truths are too heavy to bear until one is ready." I frowned. "And you think I'm ready now?" Vivian smiled faintly. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you have no choice. There's more." She gestured toward a drawer in the desk. I opened it and discovered a folder labeled Confidential, Aurora Corporation. My eyes widened. Documents. Stock certificates. My father had invested heavily in Aurora's company, secretly. And legally they now belong to me. I whispered, this can't be real. I own part of her company? Vivian's gaze was piercing. Legally, yes. Substantial shares. Enough to influence decisions if you choose. I laughed softly, disbelief dripping from my tone. After everything, I have the power now? Yes, she said, folding her hands. But power requires discretion. Aurora doesn't know. Marcus certainly doesn't. How you choose to use it is your decision. I leaned back, heart racing. And you? What do you want from me? Nothing, she replied. I simply advise. Many people underestimate what silent strength can achieve. You've been underestimated, Aaron. I let the words settle. I imagined Aurora in her glass office, thinking she had the upper hand. She had no idea I now held a piece of her empire. I felt a strange thrill, a spark of control that had been absent since the day she fired me. So I can walk in there any time, I said quietly, and change everything? Vivian shook her head. Not yet. Patience is a weapon. Strike too early and you lose. Strike too late, and they may have grown too powerful. I nodded slowly, understanding. I would not expose myself immediately. They wouldn't see me coming. Silent, calculated, invisible. What about Marcus? I asked, the name leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. Vivian's eyes flickered. He's a different problem. Let's focus on what you control first. Knowledge, shares, strategy. I clenched my fist. Knowledge and shares. That's mine. Finally, something is mine. She studied me for a long moment. Use it wisely. Power without patience is dangerous. You've been weak, powerless, dismissed. Now you have leverage. But do you have the will? I felt my pulse quicken. I had always been underestimated, treated like I was nothing. But now that was changing. Slowly. Quietly. I could see the pieces moving into place. You think I can do it? I asked, more to myself than her. Vivian's smile was faint, approving. You already are. I gathered the letters, the documents, and the certificates, stacking them neatly. My father's regrets had broken me a little, but the inheritance had given me something else. A reason, a purpose, a weapon. For the first time since the day Aurora destroyed me, I felt a spark of control. Not anger. Not revenge yet. Just control. And control tasted like fire in my veins. I whispered to the empty study, they won't see me coming. I stepped into the lobby and froze for a heartbeat. The polished floors gleamed, reflecting faces I knew all too well. The air smelled of coffee, ambition, and corporate anxiety. My shoes clicked against marble, loud enough to announce me, though I didn't need to. Everyone already noticed. Lily's eyes widened the second she saw me. She took a step forward, hand trembling. Aaron. I smiled faintly. Hello, Lily. I'm just here, for auditing purposes. My voice was calm, measured. No hint of the storm inside me. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak but couldn't. Instead, she simply nodded, a single tear sliding down her cheek. Lily, I started softly, but she waved me off. Her eyes told me everything, shock, relief, a little fear. I moved past her, my gaze scanning the familiar office. Marcus stood near the elevators, his usual smug grin gone. His jaw tightened and his eyes darted, calculating. Mr. Hayes? He said, trying to keep the tone light. I wasn't expecting. You weren't expecting me? I interrupted, voice steady. I can imagine. I let a thin smile curl my lips. Auditing, remember? His hand twitched as if to gesture, but he caught himself. Right, auditing. Of course. Aurora appeared then, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. She stopped mid-step when she saw me. For the first time in years, her cold mask cracked, just for a fraction of a second. Her lips parted, then pressed into a thin line. Aaron, she said, voice controlled, sharp. I wasn't aware you'd be visiting today. I thought it might be a good day for a review, I replied evenly, keeping my tone neutral. You know how important accuracy is. Her eyebrows knitted. Yes, of course. She glanced at Marcus, then back at me. There was hesitation there, something uncharacteristic. I let my gaze sweep the room slowly, making sure everyone felt the weight of my presence. Lily, please guide me to the boardroom. I'd like to review the reports in detail. She nodded, barely suppressing her smile. Right this way. The board members rose when I entered the room. Their faces were polite, professional, but I saw the respect in their eyes. Respect that had never been there when I was just an employee. Mr. Hayes, one of them greeted, "Thank you for coming. We've prepared the documents for your review." I scanned the table, picking up a file. "Excellent. Let's start." Aurora followed, standing at the far side, tense. I could see her analyzing every move I made. She didn't understand why a man she fired was now being treated like royalty. "Mr. Hayes," she finally said, her voice tight, How are you part of this audit?" I looked up from the reports, calm, collected. "I'm an investor," I said plainly, letting the words sink in without elaboration. Her eyes widened slightly, but she quickly masked it again. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, muttering under his breath. I continued flipping through the files, nodding occasionally. "Interesting. Very interesting." This doesn't make sense," Aurora whispered, more to herself than anyone else. I smiled faintly, standing straight. "It will, in time. For now, let's focus on the numbers." Lily glanced at me from the side, silent support in her eyes. That was enough. The meeting dragged on, and I watched as the room subtly shifted around me. Aurora's confidence wavered. Marcus's arrogance crumbled into panic. The others treated me with deference, consulting me before making decisions. I felt a strange satisfaction, a quiet thrill. I didn't need to raise my voice or threaten anyone. Power had changed hands, silently, invisibly. After an hour, I closed the last file. "Thank you, everyone. That will be all for today." I handed the reports back neatly, maintaining control of every movement. Aurora lingered a moment longer, struggling with the new reality. I gave her a polite nod. "Until next time, Aurora." She swallowed, lips pressed tight, and nodded stiffly. I turned to leave, walking past Marcus, past Aurora, past the stunned office. Lily fell into step beside me. You handled that perfectly," she whispered. I smiled, not looking back. I had nothing left to prove, except to myself. The doors closed behind me, and the weight of the moment settled like a fire in my chest. They didn't know it yet, but the power had shifted. And this was only the beginning. I watched from my office window as the skyline swallowed the sun, the city glowing gold and orange, but nothing outside could compare to the chaos unfolding inside. Aurora paced in her corner office like a caged animal. Every project she touched seemed to unravel. Reports came back wrong. Clients withdrew. Rumors started spreading through the company like wildfire. Marcus's smug grin haunted me. He thought he was clever, leaking misinformation, whispering lies to the board. And they believed him. He didn't know I already held a significant share in the company, invisible but powerful. Lily peeked into my office, whispering, "Are you okay watching this?" I didn't look at her. "I'm fine," I said softly, though my chest tightened. "It's satisfying." "Be careful," she warned. "You don't want to let anger consume you." I nodded, but my attention was already back on Aurora. She stormed down the hall, papers clutched in her hand. Her heels clicked like gunshots. She was cornering someone, then another, demanding explanations, trying to control the spiral that refused to stop. The boardroom door opened and she turned toward me. My heart caught, not for love, not for regret, but because she looked so human, so fragile. I didn't move as she strode toward me. "Aaron?" Her voice cracked, unguarded, the ice melting slightly. Why are you here? What are you doing back in my company?" I leaned casually against the doorway, folding my arms. "I'm here as a shareholder," I said quietly. I let the words sink in. Her eyes widened instantly, disbelief flashing through them. That's impossible," she whispered, her lips trembling. "I fired you, how could you?" "I inherited my father's shares," I said evenly. "Legally, I'm a part owner. And that means I have a say in everything that happens here." Her hand trembled as she raised it, like she wanted to grab my arm but didn't. "Aurora. I didn't want this," she murmured, barely audible. "Firing you, it wasn't my choice. They forced me. They wanted you gone and I had no say." I studied her face, the guilt and fear flickering in her eyes. "And you expect me to believe that?" I asked, voice calm but sharp. "You expect me to forgive you just because someone else pushed you?" I don't know," she admitted, tears threatening to spill. I never wanted to hurt you." I shook my head slowly. "Then why did it happen?" I didn't wait for an answer. I couldn't risk getting caught in her words. I turned and walked down the hall, leaving her standing there. Her shoulders shook, her world unraveling like mine had when she fired me. I could feel her panic radiating from the room behind me. The same panic I had felt when my life collapsed. Humiliation, rage, confusion. I passed Lily on the floor. She's Struggling, she said quietly. I see that, I murmured. And I see the difference. I lost everything once. Now she's tasting it. Aurora's voice followed me faintly, a whisper carried through the glass walls. Aaron, please, tell me what to do. I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. Her choices had led her here. Her hands had guided her into this storm. My path had been forced by hers, but now I had control. The office felt eerily quiet after I left. I could hear faint murmurs behind closed doors, whispers about the shareholder who appeared out of nowhere, the man who had been fired and returned as a phantom power. I glanced at my reflection in the glass, shadowed and composed. My heart wasn't heavy with hatred, not entirely. But it carried satisfaction, cold and precise, like ice sliding over stone. Aurora's downfall wasn't mine to create. I didn't need to push. I only needed to watch. Later, when the board reconvened, she entered alone, trying to salvage what was left of her authority. I remained in the shadows, observing, letting her crumble piece by piece. Her trembling hands, her faltering voice, the panic that crept into her eyes, it was the mirror of my own past reflected back at me. And I walked away, leaving her in her chaos, knowing she would feel every ounce of loss the way I once had. The lesson was clear. Power shifted silently. The reckoning didn't need my hand. It was inevitable. I never imagined I'd hear the truth without anyone noticing. I was walking past the boardroom, files in my hand, when voices carried through the thin walls. Marcus's tone was sharp, condescending, the kind of voice that makes people shrink. You have to fire him, I heard Marcus hiss. Or your career dies along with him. I can make your name vanish from the board forever. Aurora's voice trembled, almost imperceptibly. I can't. He's not just some employee. Don't argue, Marcus cut her off. You'll regret it if you don't follow my plan. Everything, your promotion, your reputation, your family's standing, gone. You know what happens if I expose your father's company debts, your mother's secrets? You'll lose everything. Every penny. I stopped dead, heart hammering. My mind rewound everything I'd lived through, every humiliating moment in that office, every cold dismissal, every glance that made me feel like I was nothing. And now I understood why Aurora had frozen every time Marcus appeared. Fear had caged her. Fear had destroyed her control. Marcus, she whispered, her voice breaking. You promised, this was supposed to be a partnership. I didn't ask for this. I didn't. You didn't ask for it? Marcus laughed, low and venomous. You accepted it the moment you let me manipulate you. You think anyone here cares about your feelings? I make the rules, Aurora. Always have, always will. I felt rage rise in my chest, a fire that hadn't been there before. I'd watched her destroy me, thinking she was cruel by choice. But now I saw the cracks, the fear, the trap she had lived inside. She wasn't just a tyrant. She was human, terrified and cornered. I pushed the door open before they could notice me. Enough, I said, voice steady, carrying more authority than I expected from myself. Both heads turned. Marcus's eyes narrowed instantly, calculating. Aurora blinked, startled, like she'd forgotten I existed. What, Aaron? She whispered. Marcus stepped toward me. This isn't your business. I think it is, I said, cutting him off. Every word I just heard proves you've been manipulating her, sabotaging projects, and abusing her fear to control this company. Aurora's hand flew to her mouth. No, it's not true. He's lying. I have proof, I said calmly, placing the documents on the table, evidence of Marcus's schemes, emails, edited reports, timelines showing his manipulation. I've kept quiet until I understood everything. Now the board deserves to see the truth. I watched as heads turned, eyes scanning the files. Murmurs rippled across the room. Marcus's face went pale, the smugness vanishing in seconds. You can't. The board chair leaned forward. Marcus, step aside immediately. You're relieved of all duties pending investigation. He stumbled back, shock written across his face. Aurora's knees bent slightly, and she gripped the edge of the table to steady herself. I saw her trembling, fear still present, but mixed now with something else, relief. She looked at me, eyes wide, voice a whisper. Why would you help me? After what I did to you? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not yet. The question hung between us, heavy and unresolved. Did I forgive her? Did I want revenge? I didn't know. I only knew that I couldn't watch injustice go unchallenged. Aurora swallowed hard. I don't know how to thank you. I shook my head. Don't. Actions speak louder than words. Just learn from this, Aurora. You can't live in fear forever. Her eyes lingered on me, searching, vulnerable, and I felt something unfamiliar, a connection beyond betrayal or revenge. A recognition that we were both trapped once, but one of us had found the key. Marcus muttered something under his breath as he was escorted out. I didn't hear it. I didn't care. I had stepped into this company quietly, but now I realized the power wasn't just in shares or money. It was in knowledge, in timing, in understanding people, in seeing their truth before they saw it themselves. Aurora whispered again, softer this time, almost to herself. Aaron. I don't deserve you. I didn't respond. Silence said everything. And for the first time, I wasn't the one trembling in fear or uncertainty. The room felt different, lighter somehow. I had intervened, but the weight of everything wasn't mine to carry. Marcus was gone. Aurora was shaken but alive. And I was still standing. The boardroom smelled of polished wood and authority. I stepped in, suit perfectly tailored, posture calm, voice quiet but certain. The same room where I'd once been humiliated now felt different. Powerful. Controlled. Aaron, the chairman began, his tone formal but respectful, we'd like to offer you an executive role. Chief Strategy Officer. Your insight is indispensable. I raised an eyebrow, letting the weight of the offer settle between us. I'll consider it, I said. Aurora froze at the side of the room, her lips pressed into a thin line. You can't, she said, voice sharp but trembling. I don't think. You don't get a vote, the chairman interrupted calmly. Aaron has earned this. We need someone who understands the company, someone who can lead us forward. You tried your best, Aurora, but your decisions alone aren't enough anymore. Her eyes narrowed, a flicker of something between anger and disbelief. I don't need him. I can handle this. You could, I said softly, tone measured, if Marcus hadn't manipulated everything behind the scenes. But now, I think we can move forward together if you're willing. Her lips trembled, pride warring with necessity. I don't need your help. You don't, I agreed, but the company does. And so do you, whether you like it or not. Lily stepped forward, her usual calm presence in contrast with Aurora's storm. Aaron, don't let her arrogance make you second-guess yourself. You've earned your place. Keep your focus. I nodded, grateful. Thanks, Lily. I won't forget that. Aurora's gaze lingered on me, and I could feel the tension radiating from her. Anger, guilt, regret. It was all there, unspoken. I never realized how much I underestimated you, she admitted quietly. I didn't reply. Silence was more effective than any words. Her admission hung in the air like a fragile truth. You've changed, she continued, her voice barely a whisper. Stronger. More confident. I can't control you like before. That's the point, I said simply. I'm not meant to be controlled. Neither by you nor anyone else. Her fingers clenched at the edge of the table. And yet, I still see the same Aaron I fired. Only now I think I made a mistake. You made your choice, I replied, keeping my distance, keeping my calm. I made mine too. We both live with the consequences. She looked away, swallowing hard. Pride and shame battled visibly across her features. I sensed the wall she had built around herself starting to crack. Little by little, the arrogance that had suffocated everyone around her was giving way. Lily leaned close to me later, voice low. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. She's still dangerous, prideful, stubborn, but you have the advantage now. Remember why you're here. I nodded, watching Aurora from across the boardroom. The balance had shifted subtly but unmistakably. She once held my career, my reputation, my future in her hands. Every decision, every word, every glance she threw at me controlled the air I breathed. Now she glanced at me with uncertainty, caution, a flicker of respect. She realized finally that I had grown beyond her reach. Stronger. Confident. Impossible to manipulate. I can do this, she whispered to herself during a meeting, voice just loud enough for me to catch. I can work with him. I have no choice. And I understood. She would survive, yes, but differently. With me in a position of influence, she could no longer dictate everything. She would feel the consequences of the balance shifting. The rest of the meeting passed in tense collaboration, each suggestion I made measured, precise. She tried to argue once, twice, and each time, I let her words land, acknowledged them, then calmly redirected the discussion. Her frustration was evident, but she adjusted. Slowly. Carefully. By the time we left the boardroom, the air between us had changed. Aurora's mask of superiority was cracked. She looked at me with something like wary acknowledgement. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. That wasn't my purpose. The shift had happened quietly, subtly, but irrevocably. I had survived her cruelty, endured her control, and now, finally, I held power where once I had none. She would never see me the same way again. And for the first time in years, I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not revenge, not triumph, just balance. I had my future. And she had hers, under my terms. The knock at my door was soft but insistent. I wasn't expecting anyone, yet something in the tone made me freeze. Slowly I walked over and opened it. Aurora stood there, rain dripping from her coat, eyes red and hollow, hair sticking to her face. I need to talk, she said, voice trembling. Please, can I come in? I hesitated, studying her. Exhaustion, shame, desperation. It all radiated off her like heat from a flame. Fine, I said quietly, stepping aside. She stumbled in, collapsing onto the couch as if the floor could no longer hold her upright. I don't know where to start, she admitted, hands shaking. Everything's a mess, my decisions, my pride. You don't have to explain, I said softly, sitting across from her. Just say what you need to say. Her shoulders shook as she let out a strangled sob. I was scared, she confessed, voice breaking. Scared of losing my job, my reputation. Marcus, he cornered me, threatened to expose things from my family. I didn't know what to do, and then you walked away, I said. I remember. I watched you leave, she whispered. And I hated myself for it. Every step you took out of that building, I wanted to call you back, to apologize, to beg, but I couldn't. I was trapped in my own fear, my own pride. I stayed silent, letting her words hang in the air. They hurt, more than I expected, but I didn't let them erase the months of humiliation, betrayal, and fire I had endured. I tried to keep everything together, she continued, but I made a mess of it. I didn't just hurt myself, I hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Aaron. I wanted to say something, to comfort her, to make it better, but I knew this wasn't about comfort. This was about truth. I hear you, I said finally. But that doesn't change what happened. Tears streamed down her cheeks and she flinched at her own vulnerability. I don't expect you to forgive me, she admitted. I just needed you to know the truth. I can't go on pretending I didn't make a mess of everything, of us. At that moment, Lily appeared, stepping lightly into the apartment. Aurora, she said gently, helping her sit more upright. Let's get you some water. You've had a long night. Aurora glanced at Lily and I saw it, the flicker of jealousy, the sharp pang of pain. She watched us, the bond between Lily and me, the ease of trust and understanding, and her hands clenched at her sides. It's strange, Aurora whispered, voice barely audible. The way you and she understand each other. And here I am, crying on your couch and I. You don't have to measure yourself against anyone, I interrupted softly. Lily helps because she cares. I forgive you, Aurora, but forgiveness isn't the same as going back. It doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't mean we can pretend the past never existed. Her eyes filled with tears again, but there was a glimmer of relief too. I wanted to hear that, she admitted. I wanted to know if there was any hope that you wouldn't hate me forever. I don't hate you, I said quietly, voice firm but gentle. I won't let hatred control me. But I also won't let the past vanish. What you did, the choices you made, they shaped this moment. I forgive, yes, but I also remember. Aurora bowed her head, and for the first time, I saw acceptance in her posture, fragile and trembling. I understand, she said softly. We sat there in silence, the rain outside tapping against the windows, mingling with the occasional sigh or sob from her. Lily handed her a towel, offering quiet support without words. I watched the scene unfold and felt a strange mixture of calm and pain. This changes nothing about the past, I finally said. But it does give you a chance to move forward. Don't waste it. Aurora nodded slowly, still trembling but listening. I could feel the weight of our shared history between us, heavy but finally acknowledged. And in that acknowledgement I realized something profound. I could forgive. I could let go. But I would never forget. Not the humiliation, not the betrayal, not the lessons learned. And for the first time in months, I felt the faintest stirrings of peace. The boardroom was colder than I expected. The air felt sharp, tense, like electricity before a storm. I stood near the window, watching rain streak the glass, listening to murmurs that weren't meant for me. Then the chairman cleared his throat. Aurora, we have to discuss the recent instability, he said formally, though his eyes betrayed fatigue. We cannot ignore the consequences any longer. Aurora's face went pale. Her hands clenched the edge of the table. I've been doing everything I can, she stammered. Please? I need more time. Time is a luxury we no longer have, the chairman replied. We've decided to remove you as CEO, effective immediately. The board will vote on a new leader. My pulse thumped in my chest, though I stayed calm. I had seen this coming, yet hearing it aloud still carried weight. I noticed the subtle shifts in the room, people exchanging glances, some relief, some confusion. Aaron? Aurora's voice cracked, barely a whisper. She looked at me then, eyes wide, and I could see the raw panic, the fear. I stayed silent, letting the moment stretch. We're offering the CEO position to Aaron Hayes, the chairman said. He is now the acting leader until further notice. The room seemed to pause. Even the rain outside stilled in my mind. Aurora froze, lips trembling, a faint gasp escaping her. The old me, the broken, humiliated employee, faded in that instant. I felt a strange mix of vindication and relief, but not the revenge I imagined. This was mine by right, by circumstance, by sheer chance, and I would take it for my future, not to punish. Aurora's hands covered her face. No, this can't be happening, she whispered. Her voice shook, raw and desperate. I worked so hard, everything I built, gone? I stepped forward, calm, measured. Aurora, I said softly, my voice carrying over the stunned silence, this isn't about destroying you. This is about moving forward. For me, for the company. She lowered her hands just slightly, eyes glistening with tears. I never wanted to hurt you, she admitted, voice breaking. I wish I could undo everything, Aaron, all the mistakes, all the pain I caused. I looked at her carefully, reading every flicker of guilt, shame, and regret. I felt the weight of what had been done, the months of humiliation and betrayal. But I had moved past anger. We can't undo the past, I said quietly, deliberately. We can only survive it. Her lips quivered and she nodded, though tears rolled freely now. I understand, she whispered. I turned back to the board, signaling my acceptance. I'll do my best, I said simply, shaking hands, discussing plans, showing resolve. The room's tension shifted subtly, confidence returned to those who doubted, and even some of Aurora's former supporters looked at me with a new respect. Later, in the quiet of the empty hallway, Aurora approached me. Her steps were hesitant, careful, like she feared my answer might shatter her. Aaron, please, she said, voice low, I never wanted this to happen. I only wanted. I know, I interrupted softly. But knowing doesn't change what happened. You made your choices and I made mine. The past is unchangeable. What we do now, that's what matters. Her shoulders sagged, defeat written into every movement. I wish I could have done it differently, she admitted, almost inaudible. You can't, I said firmly, though gently. But you can move forward. So can I. She nodded slowly, tears spilling freely now, and walked away without another word. The sound of her heels faded down the hallway, leaving me alone with the weight of my decision. I let the silence settle around me. I didn't feel triumph or malice. I felt something heavier, responsibility, the burden of power, the clarity that comes when a choice defines you. The old Aaron, the one humiliated, broken, desperate, was gone. In his place was someone who had survived, someone who had taken control. I inhaled deeply, letting the rain-scented air fill my lungs. This was the moment I had been preparing for without knowing it. My heart wasn't light, but it wasn't shackled either. I had chosen my future, and in doing so, I had finally claimed it. The office was empty, a hollow echo of the chaos that had consumed it weeks ago. Aurora was gone. Completely. No press, no social media updates, no sightings. Just nothing. It felt strange, almost peaceful, like the storm had finally passed. I stared at my phone, fingers hovering over a new message. The name flashing on the screen made my chest tighten. Aurora Hayes. I hesitated. Then I opened it. Aaron, the message began, words spilling like a confession. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I've thought about you every day, regretted every decision, every harsh word, every cold look. I was scared, weak, and too proud to admit it. I hope you can find some peace, though I know I don't deserve it. I read the entire message, letting it sink in. My jaw clenched, my hands shaking slightly, not with anger, not with rage, but with a strange calm. I could type a reply. I could let the hurt flare up again. Instead, I sighed long and deep. I deleted the message. Lily peeked into the room, catching me mid-breath. You okay? She asked softly. I leaned back, letting my chair creak under me. I've never felt more free, I said quietly. It's like, all the weight, all the anger, all the fear, it's gone. She smiled, stepping closer. I'm proud of you, Aaron. You've come so far. You survived it all. I chuckled lightly, the sound strange even to me. Survived, and then some, I muttered. Losing everything, getting fired, being humiliated, it was brutal. But I learned who I really am. I learned I can endure, that I can rise. And that the past doesn't own me anymore. We left the office and walked through the quiet park nearby. The grass glistened under the late afternoon sun, dew sparkling like tiny diamonds. Lily kept pace beside me, her presence steady, grounding. I still can't believe Aurora is gone for good, Lily said, voice gentle. You didn't have to forgive her immediately, you know. But you did. And now, I don't have to think about her at all, I replied, glancing at the fading sunlight through the trees. I can think about myself. About the life I want, the person I want to be. Lily nodded, smiling softly. That's what I've been trying to tell you. You don't need revenge. You need you. All of you. I laughed, a warm, easy sound I hadn't realized I'd been missing. Funny, isn't it? The day she fired me was the day my real life began. I spent years waiting, wondering, blaming, and the moment it all ended, I started living. Lily stopped walking, tilting her head at me. You look lighter. Happier. Like the storm finally passed. It did, I said simply. I breathed deeply, letting the scent of grass and sun fill my lungs. I feel it. Freedom. Peace. Strength. Not the kind that comes from revenge or money, the kind that comes from knowing I survived everything they threw at me and came out stronger. We walked in silence for a while, letting the calm settle over us. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. I watched it, heart swelling with a quiet joy I hadn't felt in years. I think, this is what life is supposed to feel like, I murmured almost to myself. Not constant struggle, not fear, not humiliation. Just, moving forward. Choosing what matters. Choosing me. Lily smiled, nudging my shoulder. And I'm walking right beside you. Every step. I nodded, a soft smile tugging at my lips. Thanks, Lily. I don't know if I'd have reached this point without you. But now, I'm ready. Ready to step into a new life, not with anger, not with hate, but with strength. Real strength. The park stretched before us, endless paths winding into the horizon. I inhaled one last deep breath of the evening air. The sun kissed the tops of the trees as I whispered the final truth to no one but myself. The day she fired me was the day my real life began. And with that, I stepped forward into the future, free at last.